It's not very often that we go there, but we're going back further than usual. It's time to go back to MySpace. Let's talk about Audrey Kitching. But this isn't quite a what happened to video, this is an online disappearance video. Welcome to the online disappearance of Audrey Kitching. She would seemingly burst onto the internet in the mid-2000s, with some of the fame coming from her success on MySpace, although the earliest save is from 2007. She would find fame prior to that, through her live journal in 2006, which she states is how BuzzNet found her, and therefore how she became a style editor for them. This was around the age of 21. That's how old she was in 2006. Although I couldn't find any evidence or archive of her live journal account. In saying this, she would date Brendan Urie, lead singer of Panic! At the Disco, in 2005, and their relationship would end the year after, in 2006. According to a 2007 interview, she started a blog on BuzzNet in around 2006 with her friend Zoo, called Trashy Life. There's also some accompanying YouTube videos that you can find as well. The success of this led her to make her own personal blog, even going to the 2007 Warped Tour in a car for BuzzNet. Oddly, the blog that Audrey used is actually excluded from the Wayback Machine. Thankfully, other alternatives exist, so I was able to find some remnants of it, but they're all from 2012, which is nowhere near 2007, when the interview took place. Although in saying that, the audreykitching.com is archived as early as 2008, which seems like an extension of her MySpace page. But you can still see some of it if you want to dive into the past. She also modelled for many brands like Ray-Ban, Elle Magazine and Vogue Italia, to name a few. She would continue to find success on MySpace until it phased out of the era of social medias around its time, being taken over by things like Facebook and Twitter. Audrey would, as previously mentioned, work for BuzzNet, with her most recent public video on their channel being in 2013. She did mention in an interview with Days Digital that she left Spin Media in 2014. Spin Media being the people who owned BuzzNet at the time. She also had an Instagram with over 250,000 followers at the time, and over 100,000 followers on Twitter as well. Around this time, in 2013, from what I can find online, she created a brand called Cactus, where she would sell things like these. They were sold through Urban Outfitters. This screenshot is from 2016, but you can get an idea of what it was. Sprays, oils, stuff to manifest good energy, that kind of thing. I'm unsure how long these were sold for, but the next save in 2017 shows them removed. So going off the 2013 alleged start date, that would mean that they were sold for around 3 years at least at Urban Outfitters. According to Whois, the website was first registered in 2012 and the first save is early-ish 2013. And the about reads as follows. Crystal Cactus is a new project from style icon, fashion model and designer Audrey Kitching. Finding the balance between the yin and the yang in life has always been a priority for Audrey. She also strongly believes that fashion and style can absolutely meet conscious living and spirituality in a beautiful fusion of form and function. What you will find in this store is a personalized collection of handcrafted, limited quantity items that Audrey would love to share with the world, from handmade Himalayan herbal bath salts to Reiki-infused crystal quartz rings to DIY crystal cactus kits. These natural products were made to inspire and influence. Given the title of this section, you might be confused about the correlation between this and her leaving the internet, but Crystal Cactus would lead to her leaving the internet. Everything would seemingly be alright until 2019, when an article came out from Daily Dot. This next section is all alleged, by the way. It notes that an Instagram account called Audrey Kitching exposed Audrey's company, starting with this, which alleged that she was reselling products from AliExpress, with emails attached from 2016 showing Audrey had contact with AliExpress. Also, this Instagram account doesn't exist anymore, by the way. Humour Sound would also show evidence on Twitter of the same products being sold on other sites for much cheaper. To play devil's advocate for a second here, I feel like this article is trying to imply that she did this for everything on her website. Although there's multiple examples, there's many things that aren't shown, and given the pure number of products she was selling, there's a chance that some of them at least were actually legitimate. But I haven't cross-referenced any of the ones that aren't mentioned, so I don't actually know. But in short, she was selling a lot more more than the article points out. She would also seemingly take inspirational quotes from others and tweet them as if they were her own. And in one case, when questioned about it, she blocked the person. There's also mention of her allegedly ripping off designs for something called the Pleasure Garden. I won't go into it, but the article will be linked below if you want to read it in its entirety. The second part of the article tells the story of Audrey's former assistant Lauren. In 2015, Lauren became her social media assistant. Lauren alleges that she was surprised to find that the company had only one other employee, La Brea, and someone else who helped pack things. The article goes into a lot more detail about the work environment and such, but in short, outside of what has already been mentioned, Lauren also alleges that she was often not paid on time, also sharing an email that Audrey sent her. Lauren, through the behaviour mentioned in the article, which is a lot more detailed than I've gone into, says that Audrey abused her spiritually, emotionally and mentally. It's also alleged that a group chat also existed at the time of the article called I Survived Audrey, which also featured Alex March. Alex March's story with Audrey is also mentioned in the article, with their friendship starting in 2012. They bonded over Alex being a medium and a relative passing. Audrey allegedly took her to parties and shoots and used her services for free. Well, there was an exchange of sorts, with Audrey giving her free stuff and praise. Despite Audrey apparently showing jealousy towards Alex after Alex appeared on an MTV TV show, they got to the point where they had a pitch for their own show written up, although it didn't end up happening. The article doesn't really state what ended the friendship, but I imagine the jealousy that's mentioned got too much. The similarity in the stories is it seemed as if, and quote from the article, built them up, then tore them down, often when they could no longer help her accomplish her means to a famous end. The article also mentions her friendship with Miller Starfire, but I'm not going to go into that. Audrey would also seemingly directly respond to this article, tweeting this: "I've gone through so many phases in my life to get to who I am today. I've made many mistakes and learned from each one. If I have ever hurt anyone throughout my journey, that was never my intention, and I hope they can open their hearts to forgiveness." Although in saying that, the Crystal Cactus website was online and seemingly selling things as recently as 2022. Audrey would, according to Social Blade, delete her Twitter account in December of 2019. But this article would lead to a big change to her account. She lost 8,000 followers roughly, and deleted over 45,000 tweets in the process. On top of this, she would also delete her Instagram account. Although the URL for that on Social Blade doesn't give any additional information as to how many people she lost or if she took down any photos or when she deleted it even. There also exists a Tumblr blog called Audrey Kitching is Insane, which documents some of the stuff that she said on Twitter and Formspring, which they deem quote unquote insane. And it's somewhat unhinged, I suppose. I read through some of it, it'll be linked below if you want to read it. But I'm not going to go too into it because I don't feel like it's all that relevant to her leaving the internet. It's just part of her online life that's chronicled through that Tumblr blog. But seemingly, just like that, Audrey Kitching vanished. There does exist a private Twitter account that may be her, but it has 3 tweets in a few years. Outside of that, who knows where she is? Well, I kind of do. I contacted someone who's still in contact with her, and they told me that she's alive and presumably well. I mean, they didn't say she's well, but I hope she is. And that she's just private online now. And that's what happened to Audrey Kitching. The real story and all the interviews and stuff is a lot more in depth than this video. As I mentioned, they'll be below if you really want to know the ins and outs of it, but hopefully this explains to you what happened to Audrey Kitching and why she disappeared off the internet.